here and heard Mr. Bond's testimony and
I did.
examined him.
Yes.
So during his testimony, there was quite a bit of discussion regarding the critical mention documentation. I just want to confirm with you that you made the second critical mention open records request because you felt the response to the first request was not complete. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall what you believe was missing at that point in time and why?
Yes.
What was that?
So the first one was what I would call a compilation of documents. It was 44 pages. It was clearly cut and pasted. Someone had removed dates, times, parties, subject matter, things like that. So someone had to actively take those documents and redact them. And I mean, from the cutouts, it looked like they literally cut and pasted them. There were things that were not part of it. I mean, you would see, part of an email and then you'd have no to, from, no date, nothing like that. And then you'd have another part, and then you'd have a link that didn't actually have a hyperlink. So I could tell that the whole emails were not contained. I could tell that there were significant parts of the emails that were missing. I also could see on the subject matter when you have an email, there's a subject matter, and below it, if you have an attachment, you see a list for an attachment where there would be a JPEG, a PNG, a TIFF file, a PDF, something like that. There's a link. Well, when I received those documents, I saw the name of the link, the name of the PDF, or the name of the JPEG, whatever that was. One time it was a PowerPoint. I saw that as an attachment, but that attachment wasn't provided. So someone had printed off a document that clearly showed there was an attachment, but they had not given me the attachment. So I thought I was super clear when I wrote back and said, hey, I want the attachments to these documents. And I tried as hard as I could to highlight exactly where they were, named the document, named where the attachment was, named what the attachment, actually was called, so that whoever printed those emails out could go and actually click on the attachment and give me the copy of the attachment.
Okay. Now, being that you believe that there was some missing documentation, did you include all of the missing documentation you believe existed? Was that in your follow-up request?
Yes.
All of that was in your follow-up request?
My follow-up request was very specific as to the documents that were missing. The PowerPoint, yes.
Okay, in that second request, I can just read a portion of that for you.
Which request number is it so I can follow along?
Yes. R000272 010924.
Okay.
And it said, I asked for the analytics and documents that are clearly referenced, and I'll skip a little bit, saying, in monitoring the reports with analytics provided to the DA's office monthly, appears the emails may have been accessed on a regular basis. I'll have access to these on a regular basis. It names a number of individuals, and those are public and paid for. Does that encompass all of those items that you just listed off?
So I'm looking at a different one than you are. You had said 010924. In that one, I say, I'm seeking a copy of any and all correspondence, and I put including copies of all contracts and or payments and all analytics and or reports to and or from. So yeah, I think analytics and reports are clear, and then contracts and payments are clear. So that's that case number. But then I also followed up with another one, and this one I was even more clear. I referenced the prior one. I said I got a set of emails, and then I said I asked for the analytics and documents that are clearly referenced and attached to those emails. I put that reports with analytics were provided. It appears the emails, and I put the names that I could find from those: Jeff DeSantis, Fani Willis, Jeremy Murray, Pallavi Perkastha, Ryan Bryant, and Rita Kepler. And that the reports, that they're public documents. Thought that was pretty clear.
All right. All right, we'll move on a little bit here to the subpoenas that were issued during the course of this litigation.
Yes.
Were those all sent to employees of the district attorney's office, or were they sent to people from different entities as well?
There were multiple different places that I sent them. So I had subpoenas to third-party vendors. I subpoenaed Critical Mention, which, for example, had I not subpoenaed them, I would have never known about because I still haven't to this day received copies of the payments for the second year of the contract. Critical mention was a 2-year contract. The first 12 months was paid through purchasing. So I received the county documents from purchasing about that, showing I had the contract and I had the actual payment. The second year I asked and asked and asked, and I've never received it once from the county, still to this day. I received it from critical mention. So I did that.
Were there others besides critical mention, individuals that were employed in other agencies or other certain, at least, departments of the county?
Yes, there were other departments of the county. So I sent them to critical mention. I sent to IT. I sent to, I think one of the ladies used to work for Fani Willis, and now she works for a different department. I sent it to them too.
So when you're subpoenaing individuals who do not work for the district attorney with respect to documents that you believe are in the possession of the district attorney's office, how are those individuals supposed to know if the district attorney has those items? And do you believe, I guess let me start with that question first.
Which question?
How do you believe, or why do you believe that those individuals who are not a part of the district attorney's office would have access to or possession of requested documentation that you requested from the district attorney's office?
Well, they did actually have it. That's how I got most of it. So I don't know how. So that's the problem.
They had possession of district attorney materials?
Yeah, IT did. That's where I got all the emails from. So IT apparently did. And you have to understand, when I don't work for Fulton County. So when I do an open records request, I don't know how their systems work. I don't know how things are stored. I don't know things like that. So I know that there are documents. I know that there is for example, there is a PowerPoint attached to an email that has its only DA employees on that email. I know that PowerPoint exists. Do I know how the county stores it? No. And I have learned that I have to ask for it every different way I can possibly ask for it in order to avoid someone saying no records exist. So I asked for it from the DA's office. They did not give it to me. I asked for it from IT. IT all of a sudden is able to access all of those. So apparently IT can go into the DA's emails. I did not know that, but I'm glad I subpoenaed them because I learned it.
Did you believe any of the individuals who do not work for the DA's office, at this point we'll say other than IT because you've explained that, but any of the individuals who don't work for the DA could produce documents on behalf of the district attorney responsive to your request?
I don't know. You'd have to ask me. You'd have to be more specific who you're talking about.
Was there anybody that you subpoenaed that you believe could produce documents on behalf of the district attorney's office other than individuals who work for the district attorney's office? Okay,
I think I understand what you're asking. So I didn't care if they were produced on behalf of the district attorney's office. I just wanted the documents. So when I've just, for example, subpoenaed ITs, obviously they're not producing them on behalf of the DA. They're producing them on behalf of IT. I really don't care who produces them. I just wanted the documents. So yeah, critical mention supplied documents. They were not supplied on behalf of the DA, but they were DA documents.
Do you believe that just because somebody who has dealt with the DA's office has documents, that those documents are also held or belong to the district attorney's office?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking me.
If critical mention is producing documents, how can you be sure that those documents are also in the possession of the district attorney's office? Because
the law requires that the district attorney comply with the Records Retention Act. And so, for example, to answer your question, critical mention was paid with a check out of the district attorney's fund. It says, the check says DA Willis for Fulton County. The law requires the DA's office maintain copies of all of that. And so I would assume that when I asked for that document, since the law requires that they maintain that document, that they would provide it to me.
Have you filed, in this case, are there any claims in this case regarding record retention, or is it just open records?
So an Open Records Act litigation is not going to involve a violation of the Records Retention Act. But when I'm asking for a document in open records, one of the things that I want to know is, does the document exist? Does it have to exist? Because I've learned one of the answers that I get, particularly from the DA's office in Fulton County, is no responsive records. So I have to go look at the records retention because they say no responsive records. Well, they've taken a position that we don't maintain any records, essentially, so we don't have to give you anything. But the law actually does say that they have to maintain certain records. So I go and look at that. I'm not going to ask for something that I don't know that they're required to keep.
Is that a position that they've taken that's been taken in this case, that the district attorney isn't required to? I'll withdraw that question. But based on the response, I want to go back a little bit to your understanding of, do you agree that the DA's office and the county themselves are separate entities?
Yes.
Okay. And so even if a different department has documentation, that doesn't mean that the district attorney's office necessarily has that documentation. Would you agree with that?
Depending on the documentation, yes.
Yeah. And so even if the people who you subpoenaed in this case that work for other departments had that documentation, it doesn't necessarily mean that the district attorney's office has that documentation.
In this case, it did, because when I subpoenaed those entities from the district attorney, I also received the same set of documents. So clearly they did have it.
Okay.